U.S. reaches agreement to deploy troops to bases along the Panama Canal.
Recently, U.S. President Donald Trump has made a series of controversial statements about taking back the Panama Canal, sparking diplomatic tensions between Washington and Panama.
Trump's statement on the Panama Canal. In a speech before the U.S. Congress on March 4, Trump declared, "My administration will take back the Panama Canal, and we have already started doing so." He argued that the fact the Panama Canal is largely operated by a Hong Kong-based company poses a major security threat, and he has repeatedly called for the U.S. to reclaim the canal over the past several months. Response from Panama. Panamanian. President José Raúl Mulino strongly rejected Trump's statements, accusing him of making false claims about Washington regaining control of the Panama Canal. Mulino emphasized that the canal is a national asset and no other country will be allowed to interfere with Panama's control over it. Background and recent developments. The controversy between the two countries erupted after a consortium of American financial firms, led by BlackRock, reached a deal to acquire most of the global port operations of a Hong Kong-based company. This includes the ports of Balboa and Cristobal, located at either end of the Panama Canal. However, President Mulino clarified that this was a commercial transaction between private companies and does not reflect the stance of the Panamanian government. However, on April 10, U.S. defense officials announced that Washington had reached an agreement with Panama to deploy troops to several existing military bases along the Panama Canal. However, the U.S. is not permitted to build any new military bases in the Central American country. According to Army Recognition, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the two sides, establishing a framework for security cooperation and legitimizing the presence of U.S. forces at certain designated bases within Panama's territory. U.S. troops will be allowed to conduct training, joint exercises, and various military activities in the area. The memorandum also reaffirms the U.S. commitment to respecting Panama's sovereignty, granting the Panamanian government full authority over any military deployments on its soil. Observers consider this a significant step for the administration of President Donald Trump in its efforts to regain strategic influence over one of the world's most critical maritime routes. While the agreement does not allow for the construction of permanent bases, it gives Washington the flexibility to deploy an unlimited number of troops along the canal. One day earlier, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth visited Panama to sign the cooperation document and proposed the reconstruction of several former U.S. bases for permanent troop deployment. However, this proposal was rejected by the Panamanian side. Our position remains unchanged. Panama cannot accept the presence of foreign military bases or defense installations, stated Panama's Minister of Security, Frank Abrego. Meanwhile, the Panama Canal Authority (ACP) also rejected a request to waive transit fees for U.S. warships, emphasizing that a more suitable pricing mechanism is being developed for military and support vessels. "Nothing is free," an ACP representative stressed. According to U.S. media, the Panama Canal currently handles approximately 40% of U.S. container traffic and 5% of total global trade.